Bonaduce, life coach. Danny Bonaduce.
It is time for Danny Bonaduce, life coach, with the special Rick Jones edition. Rick Jones of Goldberg Jones. Give us a call right now, 1-800-252-1025. We also happily take your emails 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at lifecoach@KZOK.com. Life Coach brought to you by Goldberg Jones Divorce for Men. Call 1-800-DIVORCE. All right, I believe we'll start off with a woman named Rock in Everett. Good morning, Rock.
Hi, Danny.
How are you?
So, I'm doing okay. So my husband had a major heart attack and a stroke last month.
Right?
And now the doctors are saying he needs 24-hour care. He would qualify for a whole bunch more benefits if my income wasn't counted. So I'm wondering if I should file for a divorce or a legal separation just so that my income doesn't get counted.
Well, what you don't want to do is you don't want to file for legal separation. That actually usually works the other way around, when somebody wants to be divorced, but they still want the other person to receive the health benefits that they otherwise qualified for when married.
That happens often?
It does, especially with elderly folks who are not anticipating remarriage at all and probably already have some pre-existing conditions.
So is it a real divorce? I mean, not as the court. Obviously, it's a real divorce as far as the court is concerned. But for the couple getting divorced, is that a nod and a wink? Honey, we'll get divorced so you can get the benefits? Does that happen?
No. The other way around. The legal separation it has the effect of divorcing, meaning the two of you are no longer linked, financially in that sense.
Right.
But you're still married. So that way you qualify for the other spouse's health insurance still. Her question is exactly the opposite, which is, does it make sense to divorce, full-on divorce, so that he now qualifies for some sort of public assistance that he wouldn't? And I got to tell you, I hate saying this, but I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I don't know that I've ever seen that happen before, Rick Jones.
Yeah. My worry is this. I mean, in some ways, the answer should be yes, because you're absolutely divorced, so there's no reason that there's any sort of causal link to your income. The flip side, though, is I worry that it may be perceived as a fraudulent act. Right. Especially if they don't then behave as divorced. So I worry that there's going to be, somehow the state gets wind of that and says, I see what's going on, and no, we're not going to cough.
What's the likelihood of that? That they send out an investigator to prove that you're not living together? Because my first marriage was kind of to get this girl a green card, and that was our constant fear. So we lived together. We did not like each other, but we were so afraid, and nobody ever came out. Nobody ever did anything. Would somebody come out and if Rock goes to get a divorce, to do what she feels is the right thing for her husband, is there a good chance the state could find out?
Like I said, I don't know. I wish I knew.
It's a risk.
Yeah.
There is a risk on that, but here was what Rick Jones said at another point. Is it a good idea to get a divorce? My experience is always. Good luck, Rick. Thank you very much for the call.
Good luck. All right, let's go now to Clara in Seattle. This is the very special Rick Jones edition of Life Coach. If you've got a question involving divorce or custody, call now at 800-252-1025. This is Clara.
All right. Hi, Clara. Say hello to Rick Jones.
Good morning.
Hi, Clara.
My question is, since you partially answered some of it with the other person, if the person who I was married to, we didn't go through the divorce, didn't get the legal separation, but we stayed married but are not together now. They went on to change their name legally, and I have no documents linking us with the new name that he has.
These are tricky questions today.
Is it, are we tied together by name, or is it linked by social security number?
No, I mean, the fact that you got married and never divorced means you're still married. He was free to change his name during your marriage, when things were going good, when things were going bad. So it has no legal effect whatsoever, other than he now has, he goes by Moonfry or something.
Right. Because that's a popular name these days. So yeah, there's your answer to that question is pretty specific. You are still married no matter what this guy's name
Absolutely.
is. All right. I hope that's the answer you were looking for, because it seemed rather matter of fact to me.
Probably not. Don't most people want an easy out when it comes to getting a divorce? It's never easy, and that's why if you've got a question, Rick Jones from Goldberg Jones is here for you. 800-252-1025. Make the call now if you've got a question. And Danny Bonaduce, Life Coach, is also here to answer your questions. Call now, 800-252-1025. Sarah in Bellevue, you're on with Danny Bonaduce and Rick Jones.
Morning, Sarah.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. Here's Rick Jones. I'm assuming you have a question for him.
Yes, I do. Thank you. So, my son's father and I have been apart for a long time, 9 years now. Our son is now 11 years old. We split weeks, Friday to Friday. We do not have a parenting plan filed with the state. We've just been doing it on our own. And my question is I wanted to get him a phone for safety. He just went into middle school. I wanted to get him a phone for safety at school, just for us to use. That's it. Me, his dad, and him in case he needs to get a hold of us or we need to get a hold of him after school. So his dad said no. So I said, okay, that's fine. I didn't do it. So he was at his dad's house over the summer. I mean, when it was during his week. And he decided to get him a cell phone, but instead of saying it was for him, the child, he said it was for security purposes. It's his phone. It's for security purposes for when he's home alone. So I said, oh, okay. So I went ahead and got him a flip phone for security purposes for school. And it's his week now, and he decided to take it away because he doesn't agree with it.
All right, so let's see if I've got this here. I think here's the body of the question from Rick Jones and Goldberg Jones. You got him a phone because you think he's old enough to have a phone, and your ex-husband took it away. Is that what happened?
Kind of, yeah. He got him a phone first for security purposes at home, so I decided to get him a phone for security purposes at school. So he
How much security does this kid need? Is he a Maharaja? How much security does one kid need? So your husband took the phone away, and your question is, hey, Rick Jones, is that legal?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Wait, and you said you have no parenting plan?
We do, but it's not filed with the state, no.
Are you divorced, actually?
We were never married.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, you almost defined the problem right up front when you said you have no parenting plan. Because a parenting plan is a rule book, just like you open up the Monopoly game. You got a rule book right there. And unfortunately, you guys are playing under the law without any rules. So, can he do that? Yeah. He didn't do anything illegal.
It's his house.
Now, can you then give him the phone right back? Yeah, you can do that as well.
It's your house.
So ultimately, two people that would have a parenting plan would have some sort of clause, basically tell them to go to mediation. And if mediation doesn't work, then they can go to the court, and the court's going to give them an answer. You really don't have any window right now other than starting from scratch, which is to seek a parenting plan.
Here's my take on this, is that you're really needling each other, is what's going on. You're bugging each other. So the guy that's going to win this war, go out and get the phone that only dials 911. Have you seen it? It's for phones that they only call the police. That's all this phone does. You've seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just calls the cops. And that one, you go, no, it's for his security in case somebody comes to the house when he's alone. And then one parent wants to say, well, I need him to be able to call on this phone. Well, now that's all he can call. Because, by the way, I went through this. My ex-wife gave both my kids phones at like 11 and 12. And I did not think it was appropriate. Who the hell are you calling? You're 11. You're only calling your mom, and she's right there in the next room. And I didn't like it, but there was nothing I could do about it. When people have custody, when they're under their custody and under their roof, they get their cell phone if they want.
Well, and Rick brings up a good point for Sarah, is that having a parenting plan is important because this is probably not the last time they're going to have a disagreement over this child.
No, and what I learned from Rick Jones before is that there's no such thing as a common law marriage in the state of Washington. You can be together all day long, and you're still not married in the eyes of the court or the eyes of the state.
If you've got a question for Danny Bonaduce, life coach, or for Rick Jones from Goldberg Jones, you have time right now to call 800-252-1025. Make the call with your problems. Mike in Historic Kent, you are on with Rick Jones and Danny Bonaduce.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Danny.
Morning.
Good morning, Rick.
Good morning.
Hey, I've got a big one for you here. I'll make it real quick. About 3 years ago, my ex-wife and I got divorced. And I've got a 10-year-old daughter who I pay court-ordered child support for. Over the last 6 months, my daughter's been coming over and telling me, that I don't see her in any good clothes or anything like that. She's been telling me that, mommy's been getting this money and going out and partying, having a good time, and she's constantly calling me saying, I need to buy my daughter this, buy my daughter that. And I'm like, well, what about the child support? Well, that's none of your damn business. So what I've done now for the last 3 months is I've stopped paying her the child support. I'm putting the child support into a bank account in my daughter's name every single month. And I'm just trying to wonder, is that something that I can legally do? Because she's trying to take me back to court. And it's like, fine, take me back to court, and I'll explain to the judge what's going on, that I am paying it. I'm just not paying it to you to go out and party. I'm paying it to my daughter, as what it's supposed to be for, is to help support and raise her.
Well, Mike, first of all, I get you.
Yeah, no, I get you. I'm with Mike 1,000%, although I think you're in trouble, but I get you, brother.
Yeah, you're doing something that the courts don't appreciate, which is that you're taking the law into your own hands. And understand that they take pride in their job, and this is what they're there to do. Child support's really tricky because there's not a laundry list of what child support is for. Ultimately, the purpose is for things that expenses that all children have. What that means is it's a component of rent, it's a component of transportation. So there's really some hidden costs there that she would argue when it comes to this. Your angle, though, is this, which is there's going to be a clause in your support order that says the primary parent, the receiving parent, may be required to submit an accounting of how that money is spent. Now, it's a little bit toothless in terms of an enforcement provision, but at least it gives you the door to open to the court and put this in front of them. And it's going to do one of two things. You know, God forbid they may actually see it your way and allow you to do the type of thing that you're talking about, which is to use that to save up. More than likely, though, it's going to be something that changes her behavior because she's going to now know there's a little bit of scrutiny on how she spends this.
Right. And that's the thing. I just want you to know that I am with you, Mike. When my ex-wife would call me up and say, you know, whatever it was, like, we need a new $300 jacket or whatever kids need today. And I believed whatever it is. It seemed like a lot of money to me, but I had $300 shoes at one point in my life. Okay. And she'd say, well, give me $150. No, I sent you child support to support that child. So, Mike, I'm with you, but of course, Rick Jones is always right. You might be in a little trouble with the court, but go find out, man.
Joe in Auburn, you're on with Danny Bonaduce and Rick Jones from Goldberg Jones, Divorce for Men.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Morning.
So I've been currently separated from my wife for about a year and a half. And I'm currently paying her household bills. We do have a son together, and we don't have like a parenting plan, so on so, because we're not divorced yet. Now, am I obligated to pay those household bills, or should I just give her like $300 to $400 a month?
Well, you're certainly not obligated because, again, there is no law in place on this yet. However, the reality is the courtroom door is open to her as well. So if, for example, and I know you weren't even proposing this, but if you just go cold turkey saying, hey, you're on your own, well, you're calling her bluff. She's going to immediately seek child support and maybe spousal maintenance. How long were the two of you married?
12 years.
Okay. And is there a significant difference of income between the two of you?
Not a whole lot, but yeah, she does make more money than I do.
Okay.
Nice.
And does your child live predominantly with her?
I see him every morning before he goes to school, and then every Tuesday, and then Thursday, or Friday, or we split it on the weekends.
Yeah.
And then Sunday.
Okay. Well, so in a situation, if this ended up like that, in other words, if your parenting plan was such that she was the primary parent and you have time, but it's still not more than 50% or not approaching 50%, then you are going to ultimately be obligated for child support. What you're probably best off doing is to contact an attorney, have them run some support calculation for you to give you a heads up. And that's information for you. You don't need to share that information, but you now know what your exposure is, which is going to give you some peace of mind. And then maybe start providing that, and when you write that check, basically say child support for January.
Hey, I got a question. Why aren't you divorced? Why are you willing apart for years at a time?
We've just been kind of beating around the bush.
Yes, in my opinion, you need to stop. You need to.
At least he has.
You need to stop that and get it. You either need to decide what you're doing. You either need to get back together, which I always find is kind of a bad idea. You broke up for a reason, or call a lawyer. I'm going to recommend Rick Jones on this at 1-800-DIVORCE. But you should probably pull the trigger on this.
Yep. Mona in Renton, you're on with the life coach and Rick Jones from Goldberg Jones.
Hi. I have an ex-husband that lives in Florida, and I live in, of course, Washington State. I was wondering how to get verification of income.
You want to verify the income that he makes in the state of Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
And do you have a support order in place? Do you receive child support?
We do. Yep, I do.
Where did you get divorced? Was it Washington?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a support officer with DCS? So is there somebody you communicate? Okay. What you want to do then is to contact DCS, which is basically a government division here that handles child support, and let them know that you're seeking to adjust the child support order. and that the basis for your adjustment is that you believe or you perceive that he's making more money than he did, that there's been enough change since the last time this support order was adjusted.
And I always wonder about these kind of things. There's just an office she can call. The number is, I always say in the phone book, but apparently nobody uses those anymore. It's online.
They go on the interweb.
Right. You go on the interweb and find the number of the DSF. Is that it?
Well, it's DSHS.
Okay.
But the subdivision is called DCS, Division of Child Support. Now, obviously, your concern is that we're not talking about Washington, but Florida. Now, each of these states, right, they want to help each other. So all 50 of us have agreed to exchange information and help the other one out. So Washington would contact Florida. Florida would then check what they call employment security, which is, when you pay in to your Social Security, there's access to see what somebody makes.
Right. Social Security was the first thing I thought of. So this is not like when I hear that, I think this is impossible. What do you do? But it's really a phone number. You call and you get the ball rolling.
Absolutely.
On DSF.
DSHS, lower division of DCS,
CS.
Division of Child Support.
All right. Good luck. And that sounds easier than I thought.
Bob in Shoreline, you're the next caller with Rick Jones and Danny Bonaduce.
Hey, guys, how are you?
We're all good. What's up?
Okay, so I have children. My wife filed for divorce on the 16th, but I was served on the 24th. I know I have 20 business days to serve my reply, correct, Rick?
No, 20 days.
20 days, including the weekends?
Including the weekends.
Oh.
Okay.
Good thing you called, man.
Well, yeah, I'm going to serve him today. There's no parenting plan in this. She ran out of state, claiming, because there's a DVPO against me, and she claimed that I'm afraid for my safety, which there's never been any kind of nothing against me other than the DVPO. Can she run out of state like that?
Well, unfortunately, it's a little bit of a classic setup when you allege domestic violence, true or untrue. First of all, she alleged enough to get a court to sign that protection order, the DVPO. So she has alleged either actual domestic violence or a legitimate, reasonable fear of domestic violence. I assume when you said she fled the state, she took the children as well?
Correct.
Okay.
All 4 of them.
Yeah, that's kind of an end run of custody. So what you want to do, she filed divorce, and she filed it here in Washington, correct?
Correct.
Okay, well, that's a little bit helpful because her trying to deal with this out-of-state isn't going to be as convenient for her. What you want to do, you've already got a case number, so don't worry so much. Your worry isn't that getting your response in within 20 days. Your real worry should be do something with this, meaning that you can now file what's called a motion for temporary orders, where you're saying, hey, we got this protection order stuff, but the reality is we need to talk custody. I don't need to have any contact with her, so it's not about her.
Right. Oh, cool.
All right, let's go now to Frank on Joint Base Lewis McChord.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's all good. What's up?
So, long and short of it, my soon-to-be ex-wife and I are just about here to finalize our divorce later this month. We just had the papers kicked back after they were reviewed by the judge, fixed a couple small things, sent them back in, so we're expecting it to be finalized relatively soon. The reason for the divorce is she's pregnant with someone else's kid, and I'm not trying to be responsible for that kid. My understanding is in the state of Washington, if you're married, the kid is born, the kid is, in the state's eyes, legally your child, you're responsible for them, correct?
Correct.
No!
Yeah. Well, and bear with me, though. There's the ability to get the truth to come out, but there's got to be...
Your wife is not the only one getting screwed.
There's got to be a presumption. That's how the law works. So the presumption is that if a child is born while married, that the husband is the father. Now, in a circumstance like this, imagine a child's born during marriage. He thinks it's his. A year later, he finds out it's not. You can go through the DNA testing and disprove fatherhood.
Wow, that's amazing.
So even though he started the paperwork for divorce, as long as it's not official before the child is born, he's still on the hook?
Sure, well, correct. In other words, the law has to presume something. Now, one of the holdups, because he's talking about that there's been a little bit of a holdup, one of the holdups is that the court sometimes chooses not to finalize a divorce until they've, and this sounds terrible, disposed of the issue of paternity.
Yikes.
So the court may choose to wait until the child's born. They also, though, if both of the parents are saying, hey, listen, this child is not his, and she's fessing up to that as well, they may choose to finalize it now.
Robert De Niro paid for a kid every day until the kid was about 10 and then wanted tests, and it was proved the kid wasn't his, and the court said, I don't care.
Yep.
You took responsibility. That was weird.
It was the taxi drivers.
It was.
Kenny in Seattle, you're on with the life coach and Rick Jones from Goldberg Jones.
Well, good morning, one and all. How you doing today?
Good morning. What's up, Kenny?
Oh, not too much. Hey, Rick, I just got a quick question for you. I recently gained full custody of my daughter. The ex moved to Norway. I found out she was collecting Social Security from the United States and getting Social Security for my daughter. So I went into Social Security. Long story short, now I receive that money. So my ex has now decided that she doesn't want to pay her court-ordered child support anymore.
All right. Is there a question at the end of that? Did you get that?
Well, I assume is how do I enforce that?
Right.
And first of all, just like we talked about earlier with the other gentleman, she's trying to take the law into her own hands, which is not cool.
Right.
That being said, you have a little bit more difficulty than the cross-state issue, which is how are you going to enforce collection? If she just simply is choosing not to pay, how are you going to force collection from Norway? And that's going to be a little bit more challenging.
Is there a way to go about it?
You know, ultimately, she's still on the loop for it, or she's still on the hook for it, so it can apply to her credit. But we really don't have a debtor's jail or a debtor's prison
We should
in the
work
U.S.
on that.
So
I hate those guys.
Ultimately, you're going to have to deal with it like any other collection issue.
Hey, that is all the time for Life Coach. If we didn't get to all your calls today, call back next time Rick Jones is in. That was Life Coach, and it is brought to you by Goldberg Jones Divorce for Men. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.